Last month, the Syrian city of Raqqa was finally taken back from the Islamic State group. Raqqa had been ISIS's de facto capital for years, but after 4 months of intense fighting, Raqqa, that's left today, is a disaster zone. The situation there is the subject of today's Focus segment. And to talk more about that with me now is our senior correspondent, James Andre. James, hello.
Hello.
James, you have been covering this fight against the Islamic State group since the beginning. Raqqa was free just over a month ago. What is the state of the city now?
Well, the city is in complete ruin. Indeed, as you said, the city was liberated on the 17th of October. It was the result of a 4-month fight with on-the-ground forces, which are called the Syrian Democratic Forces, which are composed mainly of YPG fighters. So they are a Kurdish militia that's installed in the northeastern part of Syria and control all that area known to them as Rojava, which they hope will get a measure of independence in the outcome of the civil war in Syria. And they've allied with some local Arab fighters to form the Syrian Democratic Forces. They are backed by the United States and by the international coalition, who did a lot of who striked many times on the city of Raqqa to help them move forward during this battle. And the result is indeed that the city has been retaken, but it is completely deserted. It is completely destroyed. And we were there just a few days ago, and we went in with some of the first residents to come back and discover their city. So that's what this story is about. And well, as you will see, they were quite surprised at what they found.
James, stay with us. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at that report on those people of Raqqa who just want to go home.
A small number of Raqqa residents are returning to the less destroyed outskirts of the city. Everyone here has suffered in the battle. Ayat has lost her entire family in a coalition strike. Today, she returns to the scene for the first time.
24 ساعة الطيران قصف فوقنا والقذائف وهذول القناص من هون ومن هون ما صار لنا مجال نتنفس.
Raqqa city centre is dead silent. The stench of decaying bodies and burnt buildings fills the air of what once was Syria's largest city. The coalition's bombing campaign has left no buildings unscathed.
أنا اليوم ابني ماتت عذب قدامي يحترق هذا طلع من تحت الإنقاذ لك حتى علاج ما عالجه دواء عشان الظلام وين ما نروح قام نشوف ظلام ما قام نشوف رحمة.
The car stops in front of the ruins of a gutted building. This is where Ayat's family was killed. She is hoping to find the bodies of her children.
بعد ما احترق قلبي أشوفهم. ولادي لساتهم كلهم هون تحت الدمار والسقف. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل ما حدا طالعهم. كلهم تحت الدمار. وين ولادي بدي أشوفهم بين هالدمار. منو راح يساعدني ويطالع لي إياهم؟ نجي طالعهم من جوا هالدمار كله نازل عليهم. شلون بدي أنزل أشوفهم؟ مو ضال شيء من البناية قالوا لي مو مرتمية البناية. هاي البناية اللي ضربت بينا وروحت لي ولادي وأهلي واليوم أنا أسعى بين الكرات كلهم والمكانات كلها بس بدي حدا يساعدني ما حدا يساعدني ما حدا يفوتني طالع لي الجثث ما حدا قام يساعدني اليوم أنا مروحة أرواح أغلبها عندي جثث أولادي وجوزي وأمي وأختي وبنت أختي عائلتي كلها راحت أهلي. كنا بالقبو وجانا الصواريخ بين المغرب والعصر حتى كنا قاعدين لأن وقت الضربة النار شعلت بوجهي أقول لك جارتنا كانت قدامنا التدمرية قاعدة أنا وهي صارت فحمة يعني دحق عليها فحمة صارت خالص صاروخ نزل فوقها. هون أنا ما عاد أدري بحالي ابني قام يتوجع ويتألم ما أقدر أساعد وأترجاهم إن شاء الله بس خيطوه راسه قام ينزف دم من هون بس سكروا له الجرح الدم بلكي يرتاح يصحصح يصيح يا ماما ساعديني أقول له ما أقدر أساعدك يا ابني ما أقدر أساعدك قل يا الله ساعدني أنا كنت محروقة وماني قدرانة لا بيدي ولا برجليني ولا أقدر حتى أقرب عليه ولا أقدر أقوم وما قدرت أساعده ظل يتعذب لأذان الصبح عطاك عمره هو يصيح يا رب ساعدني لما ما رب العالمين ساعده. بدي أشوف المدخل الثاني من غادي طالعوني أنا ما في الدرج كله رايح كل شيء رايح من هون طلعت أنا اليوم أقلهم مشان الهاي بدهم مصاري حق التركسات يشيل الركام على الأولاد يعني فوق ما موتوهم بدهم حق مصاري منين أجيب لكم مصاري اللي يقدر يجيب الصاروخ ويحرق أرواح ويقتل أرواح أطفال أبرياء ما لهم ذنب ما يقدر يعجز عن مال وين الحرب اللي صارت مشان الشعب والحرية وين الحرية بس تنشيل عن روسنا ها هي الحرية اللي يدورونها نحن ما بدنا هاي الحرية بدنا نحافظ على أرواح أولادنا بدنا نرتاح بالنا بدنا نعيشهم بأمان فكروا خلص انتصروا هذولك كانوا ظالمين وهذول قاموا يصيرون أظلم وين بده يجي النصر وأخيرا سمحوا لي أشوفهم
رقة جديدة غير هين لازم يبنونها على الجبل ده حق الركام هذا شيء عدل هو شيء يسويه وبأكثر العالم قعدت يعني بمناطق برا مثلا بعين عيسى بالمخيم تقول له ارجع الرقة يقول لك شو ارجع الرقة دمرت يعني وفعلا متدمرة خالص
That report there on the situation in Raqqa today by France 24 senior correspondent James Andre, who joins me now on the set. James, it's just so devastating watching that story and hearing that mother who lost so many members of her family in this fight to free Raqqa from the Islamic State group. A victory, yes, a military victory, but it does feel anything like a victory when you think about it. Tell us more about the future for someone like Ayat. Where is she living now? In what condition?
Well, for the moment, Ayat is living with some of her relatives. That woman has lost absolutely everything. Now, she is wearing a full veil, but it's important to understand that her face is actually burnt, her hands are burnt. She's lost her 4 children, including the last one who was only 4 months old, and she's seen all these people die. Now, to give you an example of how devastated she is, at one stage we were standing next to that building, and she wanted to go inside, and there was one person who was accompanying us who said, "No, don't go inside. The place is rigged with explosives." She said, "Well, what do I care now? Come on. I mean, even if I walk on a mine, what's it going to change?" I mean, this is the situation, she's in. Now, we went in with a couple of other residents of the area who had not gone into Raqqa, because Raqqa is not a place you're allowed to drive into. You have to have authorization from the Syrian Democratic Forces, who hold the city, in order to come in. Now, people are just shocked when they discover the state of their city. I've covered, the Battle of Mosul as well, and at the end of the Battle of Mosul, the historic center, was left destroyed, pretty much in that kind of state. But the rest of the city was, a lot less damaged. This is complete wreckage on the scale of a complete city that had 300,000 inhabitants. So it is something which is rather shocking. And what does happen is that people go in. Now, people are pleased to have got rid of the Islamic State group. They've lived for 4 years, some of them, under the very strict rule, and they say that these people were crazy, that it was extremely difficult to live under their rule. But on the other hand, when they discover their city, they go, "What, did we really have to destroy it to this extent?" People have a tough job understanding that why it was necessary to destroy the city, to put it into that state, because the fact of the matter is no one is going to live there for years, probably decades before it's rebuilt. Maybe it'll take very, very long time to demine it, for starters.
James, what more do we know about the extent of the civilian casualties in Raqqa? This one woman had lost 8 people in her immediate family.
Exactly. And when we were there, she said she saw 50 people die there. Now, the official figure actually was given today, as far as the airstrikes are concerned, by the coalition, the US-led coalition, and they say that over the course of the entire war against ISIS, beginning October 1914 to October 2017, they believe that 801 civilians got killed in the bombing campaign. Now, the fact of the matter is, when you go there, when you see that, and you see Mosul, and you see all the other places where these airstrikes have been used, well, it's pretty difficult to believe that that's the amount that, that the total tally is only 801 people. And this is what a lot of activist groups are saying. But indeed, yeah, you can tell that there have been many, many more casualties in any case. And then it's all, well, we'll probably never know how many people actually died, but the fact of the matter is it's probably more than 801.
James, today no more fighting in Raqqa. The Islamic State group has been pushed out there. How is that city going to rebuild? How is it going to stay safe?
Well, that's going to be very difficult because, indeed, as you see, it's in such a state that probably no one's going to live there in the immediate future. What I can tell you is that the Islamic State group is also being beaten further south in the Bukamal district. What's happening there is that they're losing the last piece of land they control. Once that has happened, chances are the Islamic State group are going to go back to guerrilla and terrorist tactics. We actually witnessed that because we went also to Deir ez-Zor province with Abdallah Malkawi, my colleague. And during the time we were there were 2 terrorist attacks on checkpoints which killed, in fact, refugees, because you have trucks of refugees all over that part trying to find a place where they can actually settle and be safe until the war ends. Well, each time these attacks cause dozens of casualties, and the chances are we're going to see more and more of those. And then the other big question is what's going to happen between these Kurdish-led forces, the Syrian Democratic Forces, which are US-backed, and the regime, which is Syrian-backed, as you know. And right now, they are on 2 opposite sides of the river in the Deir ez-Zor province. Once there is no common enemy, which is IS right now, well, the big question mark is it going to be a war between those 2 entities in that area, given, of course, that there is a lot of oil in the Deir ez-Zor district.
Indeed, it's a situation that's far from being over. James, thank you. James Andre, our senior correspondent for France 24, thanks for your reporting there in Raqqa. Do stay tuned to France 24. We're going to take a quick break. I'll be back in a minute with more headlines.